We are live. So, meeting is called to order. Roll call. Jeff Howe, I am here. Isaac Miller is absent today. Steve Probella.
Here.
Is here. Lorraine Tomlin.
Present.
Shereen Wagley.
Yes.
James Lowe. Here. Okay. Good deal. All right. We have the minutes were distributed yesterday morning, I think. Everybody's had a chance to review those. I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve. As submitted.
We have a motion. We have a second.
Second the
We have
motion.
a motion and a second. All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry. We don't do it that way. Commissioner Probella,
Approved.
Commissioner Tomlin,
Yes.
Commissioner Wagley.
Yes.
And I approve. Okay, thank you. Sorry, I forgot where I was. All right. Mr. Wright is not here. Mr. Wagley's here. The claims.
Mr. Wright isn't here today, so I'll be pinch hitting for him. He did send out the claims yesterday, a little bit late. We were doing last minute prep for the budget hearing and passage for the city budget for 2023. The two highest claims for this week or for this month were at the top right. The date would be 10/7/22. Middle of the page, Frederick Services for $37,500. That's for demolition work across the street. And then I believe in your packet it should be the next page, dated 9/30/22. One for Commercial Recreation Group, and that is playground equipment for the Jacks Park renovation. Other than that, I'll open it up for any questions.
What the charges were for the Bell services on 10/7? $5,500.
That's for mowing of all the MRC lots.
Anybody have any questions? If not, we get a motion to,
I'll make a motion to approve claims.
a motion to approve the claims. Do you have a second?
Second?
Motion and a second. All right. Commissioner Probella,
Yes.
Commissioner Tomlin,
Yes.
Commissioner Wagley,
Yes.
I vote yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, you look a year older than the last time I saw you. Did you have a birthday yesterday?
I did.
Right.
I did.
Birthday.
So for the 6 people who watch this on TV, if you
For those
or
people.
on the web or however they see it, wish you a belated happy birthday if they see you today, right?
Yep.
Happy birthday.
Well, thank you. Thank you. So a couple things. You've got a kind of a proposed cash situation, so it shows the various funds. That top part are what we have that are allocated for various projects and or areas of town, as you know. That total is 3.6 million. And then, but our consolidated TIF is our main fund that we utilize. It's, you can see it's 1.584 million. We have some other cash accounts, some other accounts that are various TIFs that we tend to try and let those build And then we utilize as needed, that's the $239,000. So we still have about $75,000 left in demolition work for next door. The buildings are down, it's now rubble, and they're clearing out that lot and getting it ready. So you'll see that's on there as a budget item. We still have to put in a parking lot in the other lot once we get that other little house torn down, which is the next item on there. And then that lot that's directly across, next to the canal and across from the current White River Lofts, then that we're expecting to put in a public parking lot at this time. And then all the bond figures that we received from the infrastructure all moved to the top portion because they're allocated for specific projects. So I zeroed all those out. So anyway, we still look like we're going to end up with considerable cash. We've got a couple things in the works. I subtracted them on here, but they're not definite and may not happen this year, maybe next year, but that's in there. And then your parks update is not complete. I did attach it, but I was not able to. We've been pretty focused on getting the city budget done, and I did not get updated numbers with all of the amounts paid for the various parks this particular year, so this particular month. So next month's meeting, we'll have that all updated for you. So it still just shows after the September expenditures on the various parks. But that is the through 23 expected fund balances wanted to have for you. And then I think you want me to start with phase 2, so I'll just go ahead and do that. You can see the building next door. We're still coordinating, that's probably the best word, the method to get that, the new building begun. They're ready to move forward, or are interested in moving forward. We're still working out some details to make sure that it is in our best interest and in their best interest so that it's win-win for everybody. And we're excited about what they've got proposed. We had them adjust it. They wanted to utilize, they didn't want to put all the parking there. They wanted to utilize the lot. I did make them adjust that to where all the parking for all their tenants would be on site. So that we're not, as a city, are not needing to provide parking for rent-paying residents. So they've adjusted that, and we're very, very close. So we hope to have something done here shortly. But it is not, it's not complete, but it will be an apartment complex eventually. So any questions on that before I move on?
I don't think so.
That's the phase 2. Okay, so I'm going to show you this. We've done this before. This is the third one. I think this is the third different time we have a developer that's interested in this space, which is the 17 acres that are directly north of Tillotson, of Till Pond, what we affectionately call Till Pond at this point. We don't know what the name of the park will be, but this is the park that we're building. We have funds set aside, as you know, for Till Pond from the MRC to help fund that. We have some city funds that are set aside. We have applied for a federal grant. We've received state approval of that grant, but we won't know for a couple more months whether we get that. But that park did exactly what I had hoped it would do, and it sparked other interest in that land directly north of that park. So all of this particular developer has the 17 acres under contract. It has not closed. They're in their preliminary stages. They're doing all their due diligence. So we've already been working with them from the sanitary perspective, from the utilities perspective, from what the city can do to help. But they are looking at a 200 plus apartment complex there that would have 1, 2, 3, and 4 bedroom apartments. They're a company out of Atlanta that has some very good results. Again, they can still not close. It's under contract now with the sellers, but they're making sure that it all fits into their situation. So what I understand is that they've got a number of projects across the country and a lot of prospects. Just like we keep things in the pipeline, they have things in the pipeline. So they'll determine once it's to that point, they'll determine whether Muncie is where they're going to spend some of their funds in 2023. We would love to see it happen. This particular complex they're using a local survey company and local engineering to help put it together. So I know they're investing dollars here to make this happen. They're very serious. It would include an in-ground pool, a clubhouse, pickleball courts for those who want pickleball courts, basketball courts, a park, a little playground area for residents. This is for residents, but it's 200 plus units. It is in a TIF district. We're not interested, and I've told them this. We're not going to borrow to do it. So if we can make it work, we would love to have you here, but we're not going to go into debt. It would be a $55 million investment if we can pull it off. So it's still in the works, and a lot is being done behind the scenes. Mostly now they're looking at utilities. It's still preliminary, but they're very serious, and we are very hopeful that we can make it work. I have talked with the council member in that district, and we have full support there, and the neighborhood is also very excited about the potential, so we'll see if we can make it work. And again, this is the third time we've tried with this particular property, so we'll continue to go until we can do something with that particular location. We're hopeful this is it. Any questions on that?
A considerable increase in the tax.
It's considerable.
Tax revenue.
Yeah, with that type of investment, even if it's only 50% assessed, you're talking $1 million a year.
Yeah. Right.
In tax revenue.
$1,000,001. Yep.
Yes, $1,000,001. So you figured it up as well.
In my email, I was doing
So we're working hard to make it happen. But I told them we're not going to go into debt to do it, and so they have to make the numbers work for them. And I know we're competing with other cities, but we're going to do this in a smart way, and then move from there. So as it gets a little closer, I will update the commission as things move forward. The next item on the agenda is some land acquisition. I did include in your packets a press release from Ball State, so pull to that page if you would. Then these are not numbered, I apologize. But it is a press release from Ball State that just indicates that they have, we had been talking for a couple of years about this. So the press release just says that they are going to deed over to us, it's now in the hands of the attorneys to get that accomplished, 12 acres. That's if you look at the map, it'll show where those 12 acres are. I believe the Star Press has already run a little story on this anyway. But this is something that once we have this in our hands, we'll take the appropriate steps to start putting it through. I've already talked with our city engineer, and it's surrounded by all the utilities. So we're excited about the potential there. We would look at trying to do something along the lines of Store. I would try and find somebody to do it as a developer, if possible. We would expect that these would be larger lots than what we're doing at Store, probably a half-acre minimum. It's in a great area of in our community, so we feel like it would be very helpful for our recruiting and retention of city residents. So both retention and recruiting of new city residents. So our intent, once we have the property in our hands, again, that's legal, is going through that right now, but once we have it in our hands, we'll start taking some of those appropriate steps. So just wanted to remind everybody that was happening. It is not in a TIF district, and I have no intention of putting it in a TIF district, but it is being deeded over, much like Store, to the Muncie Redevelopment Commission, and then we'll figure out how to take it from there once that happens. The second one on the list, Jeff, do you want to discuss that? This is the current Y property.
Yeah, we approved it at the last meeting to purchase the YMCA building downtown, and the update, pretty minimal at this point, but we're signing purchase agreement today, and it basically allows them to lease it for, I think there was some question that arose at the last meeting. It is now determined it'll be a 2-year term on that, with an option to extend it for 6 months if necessary. But I think that the desire of the Y, and therefore us, is for them to be able to get the new Y out of the ground as soon as possible. And then it would convey sooner than that. So, but we should have attorneys have put together the documents and signed them this morning.
Okay. Very good. Any other comments or questions on that either Jeff or I could answer? I will let you know that the Y is very close. I mean, I think they're really attempting to move this forward. They've been raising funds and having great success there. It's a huge project. It's $29 million, and that's a very large capital campaign. But I know they've had some really good results. So, and this is a part of helping that move forward. The next thing on the agenda is the East Side Hotel update. So I will say that I've had a number of continued discussions with the hotel, with some developers that are interested. I've also talked with some of the neighbors to that property, and also AMA, which is a neighbor to that property that was suggested as the location, and with Country Club. In fact, met with their board this past Tuesday. So, just trying to keep people abreast of what is possible. The area along Memorial that's right off of the exit from the bypass is already zoned business variety, so a hotel, that's where the hotel would be. There is a developer looking at some of the additional property and seeing if there's something else that they could do with the rest of the land. They are negotiating with the owner of that property currently. So the city is not a part of those negotiations. We're just trying to help move things forward. But it would be great for our east side, and I think we definitely have a need for another hotel, and I would love to see it there right along the bypass. I think it can serve the south and the north, and it would do great things for us. But there's nothing really new other than that to report. The property is still not sold or under contract, and there's still some work to be done. I know the hotel people are going to be in again first week of November to have further discussions on utilities and those types of things, which we will share with them at that point. So we're continuing to take the steps to make it happen. So, but nothing is 100% certain, but there's certainly a strong interest on all parties. We just have to help all parties work together to make it work. Any questions on the East Side Hotel?
I think so.
Okay. The Ready District. So I shared with you in your packets, we'll just start with the zoning changes. So at the November Planning Commission meeting, we are now on the agenda. The City of Muncie, Muncie Redevelopment Commission, and several other groups that have ownership interests are all we're the lead. But we're looking at some zoning changes for the area across the street from Muncie Central. What we're looking at is making 3 different zones. And again, this will start with the Planning Commission for 2 different meetings, and then we'll go to the City Council. So this is still months away from being completed, but it's an important part of what has to be done. So it's all part of those things that go on early and ahead of time. And so that has begun. That application was included in what you've got. So we're looking at making Walnut Street and parts of Columbus, a couple blocks of Columbus, making that central business district, which is similar to downtown. And so it allows a number of things, including buildings that are next to each other, touching, including retail, including restaurants, those types of things. So we're looking at trying to make that corridor along Columbus, as I've discussed before. We're trying to make that a great connector between where the Y is going to be at that intersection and Muncie Central to the Cardinal Greenway. And to do that, you have to have reasons for people to walk and to be in those areas. So we knew retail was important. So that's why that part of that is for central business zone. But we kind of scaled it way back from what I originally had told you. We've scaled it back to just a couple of blocks and some on Walnut. The rest of the area, we're looking to change parts of North Walnut and parts of Columbus and Elm Street and some of the areas into R5 zoning, which would allow for townhomes, zero lot line homes. It allows for some flexibility, but not retail. But we knew that we have some interest from some developers in looking at some townhomes, building some townhomes. So we wanted to make sure that that part of the zoning was there. And then the largest section of it, if you looked at the map, the largest section is we want to keep with residential single family. And we're also looking at putting in an overlay district over this so that it restricts. We do not want any adult businesses, we'll call, you know what I mean. We don't want that type of activity, which central business zone technically allows. So we'll put restrictions in there in the overlay district that says you cannot bring in that type of business. There will be other things that will be restricted. We will also restrict, and we're trying to do it in a non-requirement method. So we're kind of modeling this after a community up in Michigan, a suburban Detroit community, that put in you can build how you want, except you can't do this. Rather than you have to build with this material, you can build with any material except for X. We're also putting in some height requirements. We don't really want a lot of single-story, we'll call it manufactured look. That's not what the neighborhood is. The neighborhood is primarily two-story homes. And so we're going to put a a minimum height requirement. So even if it's a one-story structure that a builder would build, that there would be a 13 or 14-foot requirement that will have some type of height to it, so that it would just be a higher ceiling, more attractive, I think, but it would also fit the neighborhood. And so that overlay district will have that requirement. And then the third area of the zoning that we're going to do is we're going to take the area that is east of Elm and north of Columbus, and we're going to turn that into conservation recreation, so that it always will stay a green space. We are looking at some little, I will call them simple park designs, because McCullough Park is just a couple blocks away, but it's on the other side of the river. So we want to have a place where people can walk, where they can get together, but not necessarily have a whole lot of equipment in there. We want more trees, we want more walking paths, we want more benches. So that's what we're looking for in that particular green space. So 3 different zonings. We're changing some to R5, we're changing some to central business, and we're changing some to the recreation conservation. So we'll have a park area, we'll have some areas that can have townhomes and some areas that can have some retail. So I just wanted you to know that that was coming up. You're welcome to go to the meeting. I believe it's the first Thursday in November, but
November 3rd, 6 p.m., and they've reserved this auditorium.
oh, we're going to be here. Okay. So that will be the start. They have the packet. And they have support letters from the neighborhood. They have a number of support letters already in hand. So just know that that's coming, and you're welcome to be there, and you're welcome to speak if you would desire. Some other things that have occurred is there's been some acquisitions by DAC of some properties that are pretty essential to this area. And so I think I've got, I can read you the addresses. We have purchased through DAC 710 North Walnut, which will be demolished, 108 East Columbus, which will be demolished, and 655 North Mulberry. So those properties have been purchased and then have already been acquired by DAC, and we will ultimately, it's part of the Ready Grant, property acquisition is part of the Ready Grant, so that grant will be helping us to fund some of these purchases. In addition to that, there are some other properties that are key to having control. So I had some maps in there. If you will, I'm going to try and tell you what page to go to. The first one, it's a front and back, and it has this map, which has, I'm not Mr. Technology, so you have handwritten notes on here of the property addresses on the back of this page. Do everybody see it?
Yeah,
Okay.
Page right before the Ball State press release.
right after.
So there is a property at 718 North, and this is part of the property trades that we'd like I would like for you to approve today so that I can get these done. A local investor who owns several properties owns 718 North Walnut, and I've got it marked on there, if you can see it, and it's the little arrows that say trade. The MRC owns 812 North Walnut, which is a full block north of there, and at 812 just happens to be next to a property at 816 that he owns. So I offered to trade him our property next to his current property, so he has two next to each other, and the zonings will allow now for him to do townhouses or something else once that's approved. But we need to make sure we have control of 718 because it's down near our first property that will be developed along Walnut and Columbus. And it is next to other properties that we own and other properties that we have acquired. So that's the first one. It's the company's name is Servesting, and I would like for your permission to begin the paperwork to trade 812 North Walnut from the MRC to Servesting for 718 North Walnut. So we'll start with that one.
Yeah, okay. All right.
And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
And just to be clear, it's well within the MRC's power statutorily in order to complete a project, to do land swaps like this.
Okay.
So there's no issue, legally speaking, to exchange rather than buy and sell. It's essentially the same thing, you're just land swapping.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for that. All right, can we have a motion, or do we have a motion to approve the trade of these two properties?
Trade of 718 for 812, is that correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Make a motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second the motion.
A motion and a second. Okay. Commissioner Probella,
Yes.
Commissioner Tomlin,
Yes.
Commissioner Wagley,
Yes.
I vote yes.
Okay, so that's number one.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Just for a minute, just for the minutes, I'd just like to make clear that the MRC has approved an exchange of property owned by the MRC at 812 North Walnut will be transferred to the company Servesting in exchange for, and will receive ownership of 718 North Walnut will be transferred to the MRC, just so that's abundantly clear in the minutes.
Okay,
That's all.
thank you.
I'll be interested to hear how you describe this next one. So, this next one involves 3 properties. And so what I put in there, and it's this on the back side of here, it shows what we invested in those properties. It's the same map, but we received from the county 719 and 804 North Jefferson for $0. We paid $4,600 for 741 North Walnut. So our investment was $4,600. We want to trade those 3 properties. These are lots. These are all lots, just individual lots. We would like to trade them for 701, 703 North Mulberry, those 2, and 716 North Walnut, which just happens to be right next door, the one you just authorized the other trade for. Okay? And then that gives us all of Walnut from 718 down to Columbus.
So 804 North Jefferson, 741 North Mulberry, 719 North Mulberry,
Correct.
and trade for 716 North Walnut, 701 North Mulberry, and 703 North Mulberry, which
And-
puts those in contiguous to the other ones that we have for development.
Yes. And all 6 of these are just individual lots. So there's no demo work that'll be needed on either of these. I will say that the 2 on Mulberry that we're giving up are 2 that are next to another property he owns, and he intends to do townhomes once the zoning is approved. But that's not a contingent part of the transaction, in my opinion. It's more about us getting control of the North Walnut property and the 2 on North Mulberry, which are in and around all the other properties that we are in control of. Now, he did pay more than we did. As you can see, what he paid for these properties is listed on there. I would like to compensate him, the trade of the properties, and compensate him for the difference in what the 2 of us paid, which is $6,500. And I was going to ask legal how they wanted to set that up. We could do 3 individual trades, but these are all with the same owner. And so to me, it just made sense, if you could, to just do 3 lots for 3 lots plus $6,500 from
Equalizes
us
the value
to
then.
equal it out, yeah.
And Ocean Life is the
Has all these
owner of
properties.
this.
Yes.
Mr. Freeman, can we do this all in one transaction?
I don't see any reason why not. Essentially, it's not at all dissimilar from the first one. It's just in addition to the exchange of real property, there's also some monetary compensation. But
Right.
at the end of the day, it's
Still trading equal
just,
value.
yeah, it's equal value land swap, but in order to equalize it, there's some cash coming in as well.
Just one clarification for the record. Okay.
And the end result, I did not include this in your packets, but if you see this, all the areas in pink will then be under control of the MRC and/or DAC, and therefore we can offer this as a property control for
Yeah.
developer for that corner property.
This is similar to the conversation we had last month about, although significant differences, but in theory, the YMCA, it's site control, so we know
That's exactly
what,
right.
what and how that's going to be developed for its highest and best use, at least as we see it, right?
Yes.
And for the record, because of the relatively low value, or not value, but the low price that is being paid, there's no requirement to do any appraisals or anything like that. You're well under the threshold, so we don't need to do any other administrative research or anything like that in order to do this.
Okay. Good to know. Okay. So
And what's the amount being paid?
We're trading the 3 lots for 3 lots
Right.
plus $6,500.
Yeah, it gets up to,
Okay.
all right.
So I'd make a motion then, and you can help define.
How about I word it and then you can adopt my wording? How
Sounds
about that?
good.
The proposal would be that Ocean Life transfers to the Muncie Redevelopment Commission properties located at 701 North Mulberry, 703 North Mulberry, 716 North Walnut. In exchange, the Redevelopment Commission will transfer to Ocean Life 719 North Mulberry, 741 North Mulberry, 804 North Jefferson, and will also pay $6,500 in cash.
And I'll make that motion.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll make, second.
We have a motion and a second. Commissioner Probella,
Yes.
Commissioner Tomlin,
Yes.
Commissioner Wagley,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Okay.
Okay. That is it for trades at this particular time. I appreciate your efforts on this.
Like playing Monopoly.
It is like playing Monopoly, a little bit. The other thing that has come to my the other thing that has come to my attention is we have several developers that are interested in doing some construction in that area. So I do see some very good things for housing options in our city. And again, we call this the McKinley Live Learn neighborhood is what we've been calling it. We've been meeting as a group for over 3 years now. And there is an MRC member who's part of that group, but there's members from the school system, members from the neighborhood, from Minnetrista, Community Foundation. So there have been a number of people involved in helping us, and they're also helping with the overlay district. So this is a culmination of nearly three years of effort to get to this point, to where we're getting close to where something can happen. And I will also say that we are not, it's been requested of me by some developers, but we are not putting this in the TIF district. It is my personal belief that we can make this happen with cash, without borrowing, and my intent is to not put it in the TIF district, in a TIF district, which means that those tax revenues will go to help our general fund, which will make our deputy controller and controller happy, and ultimately our city employees happy, because then we will have the resources to give better increases and take care of the services. But it will also then help our school system. It will also help our library. It will help the sanitary district. It will help MITS, all the Center Township, all the different entities that share in those property tax revenues. This has been the strategy all along, and this continues to be the strategy. So if it's in a TIF district, we're happy to leave it, and that's what will happen if we can put together the 200-plus unit apartment complex. But if it's not in a TIF district, we're not putting it in. And we try and come up with ways to make it work. So that it benefits all the entities that need those tax revenues. Because our schools, our general fund, our libraries are important to me. So just wanting to make clear, my intent is not to put this in a TIF district. It is not in one, and we don't intend to put it in one. Just like store. MRC is going to own some of it and sell some of it, but it's not in a TIF district. So those revenues will be beneficial to all those entities. Okay, so I said all that to say this. I've received a request from from some local people. It's actually a company out of Wichita that has opened up a Muncie office. They've been here for a while, but and the people that run the Muncie office are all people from this area. They have an interest in purchasing 3 lots. So I think one of the other pieces you have, now this, for some reason, is in the front. I'll make sure this is better in the future. We'll number these pages. But it's actually probably the second page of your,
Back to the second page.
yeah, and then the map is on the back.
Yeah.
So the MRC owns 3 lots. We own lots at 808 North. We own a lot more lots than that, but these 3 lots in particular. The MRC has 808 North Mulberry, 836 North Jefferson, and 721 North Jefferson. And those are on this page, on the back side, in the green. I put them in green so you could see where they were. This local builder, who does some really interesting things with some homes, they know what the overlay district, or we've shared with them what we're looking for as far as an overlay district. They'll make sure it fits that. But they also do some I don't want to say it the wrong way, I call it zero carbon, a very neutral home construction. So I don't know exactly what to call it.
Net zero.
Net zero, that's it, net zero. They're looking at, they have offered to purchase those 3 lots from us for $1,000 each, and with the intent of putting single-family homes in those areas. So those addresses are listed there, and we got all of these from the county and had no investment. Now, we do invest, as you heard, the $5,500. Part of that $5,500 has been us mowing these lots, as well as others. But my intent is to get all those lots eventually onto the tax rolls, and hopefully, most of them, new housing for our residents. So they would like to do that, $1,000 for each one. There were some technical difficulties in that we didn't get the purchase agreements on his computer, but I have an email that says he wants to pay $1,000 for each. So I didn't know and we'll ask legal do we need to wait till next month, or how do we go about it? I don't have the purchase agreement.
I really had a question about the type of deed too.
Okay.
The seller portion of that purchase agreement, what type of deed that would be.
Have these been offered for sale before?
Yes,
Okay, they have been.
they've all been up before.
So we're through that process?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so they have all been offered to the public previously?
That's what I was told,
Okay.
yes.
Then that eliminates some of my misgivings that I was
Yeah.
developing as we sat here, but
That's, yeah.
So that makes the sale considerably easier from the redevelopment commission side of things and determining the price and everything. If the commission is okay in general with that sale price, but we still need to work out some issues with the deed, we can get, I guess, what are your questions about the deed specifically?
It's not specifically about the deed, it's just what type of deed would be transferred. If it's a deed or.
Do we know were these properties that were given to, I see that they were zero value, so these were just transfers from the county,
Yeah.
I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Historically, we've done quitclaim deeds because we've not done any investigation in any potential title defects or claims. So in order to protect the city and the redevelopment commission, we've done quitclaims in the past.
That's fine, that's just something I need to put in the purchase agreement.
Okay.
Mr. Freeman, can the commissioners just consider authorizing the mayor to sell these for not less than $1,000 apiece?
That was going to be my recommendation if we approve the purchase price, and then as long as there are no complications that would arise that would need further concessions or consideration by the MRC board, with your authorization, we could
That way you can have your
complete the
approval and
actual
work through that.
contracting after today's meeting.
Okay. We'll need to sign the deed, won't we?
You
I will.
will, yes. Yeah, they're
So
MRC properties.
So we just need to cover that on our approval then, that if the mayor negotiates a sale, then we'll authorize to sign the,
Yes.
Yeah,
So, I guess, just to summarize, what I would, on behalf of the mayor, I think, request today would be that you go ahead and make a motion to approve the sale of 808 North Mulberry, 836 North Jefferson, 721 North Jefferson to the sale.
It's me personally.
Oh, you personally, okay.
And your name, sir?
Jonathan Chambliss.
Jonathan
Chambliss.
Chambliss?
Yeah.
For not less than $1,000 by virtue of a quitclaim deed. And then we can work out any other details that may need to be worked out, and assuming that it's nothing beyond, normal transactional issues, we wouldn't need to come back for approval, and when those deeds are prepared, we can go ahead and have you sign them, Jeff.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Is there a second? I have a second. Okay. Commissioner Parbella,
Yes.
Commissioner Tomlin,
Yes.
Commissioner Wagley.
Yes.
I vote yes.
And again, just for clarity, because all of these properties were previously offered at public sale and did not receive bids, and greater than 30 days have elapsed, you are empowered to enter into private negotiations, and you're no longer bound by any prior appraisals that would have locked in that price for a certain amount of time. So
Right, yeah.
You're good to go.
That was my understanding as well. Okay, great.
Okay, that is it for the McKinley Live Learn neighborhood and the Ready grant and the area across from Muncie Central. But the MRC is going to have to deal with many of these same issues very shortly with Store. We're looking at some of the they're looking at paving in the next 2 weeks, which will pretty much make that nearing completion, and I think we're going to have 34 lots, so we're going to be, I think a lot of the meetings going forward are going to be the sale of property in McKinley and the sale of property at Store, and so we need to, we'll be leaning quite heavily on our legal counsel to make sure that we do all those correctly going forward. So just be prepared, but I just wanted to let everybody know that all of the underground work is finished at Store. They're, in the next 2 or 3 weeks, they should have the streets put in. And then I think we can move forward with some other opportunities. We may have jumped the gun a little bit by talking about it before when people really couldn't close and go even walk on their property because it's dirt. But we're going to have a lot of lots available, and I anticipate we'll see some movement on those. So I just wanted to give that little Store update and also remind that this is not in a TIF district. So once those are sold, those will be on the tax revenues and benefit all the entities involved.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
One question while we're on Store, because we did have the one property that we had a bid that was accepted. Is your anticipation that those would then be, with the roads being in, is that the last kind of keystone that we're waiting on for maybe that to be able to close?
Yes. The park will not be finished. Then they will start on the park because the same builder, the same developer is doing the park.
But just in terms of
The lot, it should be available to
yeah,
close.
Melissa Howell being able to go ahead and close and then do whatever her plans are for developing her home there.
Yes.
We'd be looking at doing that sometime maybe in the next month?
I would think so.
Okay.
From what I'm told. There
Her-
can
her
always be
realtor's been
construction
asking-
delays, but from what I'm told,
Okay.
that should happen.
Her realtor's been asking when they might expect to close so that
Okay.
I can give them an update and then we can, as soon as we get sign off on the roads being done.
Okay. And then Riverbend Flats, Riverbend, this is in a TIF district. This is where the old marsh was at Memorial and
Burlington.
Burlington,
Yeah.
yeah. So that is getting very close to completed. And once that happens, that'll obviously be a benefit to our tax revenues at the MRC. There are some tax abatements that will occur once that gets assessed and starts. But I think it's one of those to where we will start receiving revenues right away as soon as that occurs. So I just wanted to give you an update that it's nearing completion. They still have their clubhouse to put in, and I think they're putting in a playground. And it has sparked some other things already. So there's a building that was purchased across the street from these apartments, right on Memorial, has been demolished and will soon have a new restaurant on it. So they're going to build a brand new restaurant. This is Pizza King. So it has sparked that, and it's also very close to where the hotel is planning on being. But so we're excited about what that means for the southeast side, and I would think that those would be leased up starting in the early spring. So as they get the interiors finished. So I just wanted to give that little update. And I believe that's it, unless somebody had some further questions.
I have a question about the next bullet. I put this on the agenda, the community development on offers on properties, but is community development, obviously with Zane having left, we haven't really seen them here. Is that something you're just going to be?
As I get offers, it was similar to what Jonathan did.
Yeah.
So as I get offers, I will bring them.
Okay, so that'll just be part of what you're going to be doing?
Yeah,
Yes.
they don't
Okay.
handle
All
that
right.
anymore.
Okay, all right. I wanted to be clear so we didn't continue to put it on the agenda. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Howard is here from the Muncie Land Bank. Give us a brief update of his activities, their activities.
Good morning. Excuse me. Yeah, just this last month, provide a little update. We have 4 property bids that were approved by our Acquisition and Disposition Committee. That we'll be taking those to our board tomorrow to be approved. But those 4 properties will go to local folks here. We've facilitated 2 workshops in a couple different neighborhoods on the south side. I've mentioned before, we have a project focused next year of acquiring a certain number of properties on the south side, but with community input. So we've been facilitating workshops and asking them which are the problem properties, which are the properties that they would like to see redeveloped. And so we hope to try to acquire some of those properties that they're bringing to our attention. We acquired 1 tax certificate at a tax sale. That was a new experience for me. And that's on behalf of a gentleman that had tried to acquire a tax certificate a couple times and couldn't get through the legal process. And that's one of the services that we hope to provide in the future. An update on our, I've mentioned before, the properties with structures that we have gotten, and we're trying to figure out our process there. We've done what we call level 1 assessments, just to kind of get a general idea of the shape of the house. We've started the process of doing some actual renovation specs on 3 of them that we feel have the most promise. We're going to put those up on our website next week, and then start inviting folks out to actually to visit them, site visits. And then in December, we'll actually put them up for auction. And this is a process that I've been in contact with different land banks around the Midwest, trying to understand how they deal with these properties. Because it's a challenge, because they're properties that are damaged, and they don't have immediate just value when somebody's looking at them. So we're trying to be creative. And last week, or I guess, yeah, we had our first Friday meeting where we had 25 folks from different sectors around Muncie. It was great to see the mayor there. We really appreciated him being there, Mr. Howe, other of you. And that meeting is just to get folks in the room and talk about abandoned property, talk about blight, talk about housing development. Being here, you hear the city's doing all kinds of great things already. We hope to contribute to that, and we feel like getting folks in the same room is something we can do. Convene folks, get folks talking about that issue, and we onboarded a new treasurer this month. That's my update. If you have any questions or comments.
Well, as I said, I attended your meeting. I appreciate
Yeah.
you doing that. I mean, I think it's, and I know I've heard of a couple that you've done. both I was invited to, one I didn't make to, but I've heard some feedback from folks and appreciate, kind of the strategic approach to things and bringing in, but, partners to kind of think through these projects,
Yep.
long-term and I'm glad to have been invited and I thought it was well done.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any comments or questions from commissioners?
I have a question. Has there been any progress with Miller Valentine getting started on their project? They've got a lot of properties over there, and
Yeah, there were initially some title issues that they had to work through, and then there have been some. They've gone through 4 different bids to get it to a point where it can financially fit. So the construction companies are so busy that they're being more selective, and that created a challenge as far as the timing. It is expected to close at any time. I was at a meeting with him earlier this week at another entity here in town, and we continue to work through it and look to get it closed here shortly. They hope to have construction beginning in less than 30 days on City View 1 and then in 60 days on City View 2.
thank you.
Yep.
I know finding people to work and prices of
Well, and I think
materials and
I think
equipment
the contractors want it,
Just,
but
yeah.
they also have to get the materials, and they've got to get the people who can build the houses.
I think with the recovery of the Florida West Coast, I think the materials are going to be pretty scarce.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they're going to pour a lot of building materials into Florida, to get those homes put back together and towns reassembled, and I have some concerns about what that means for development, but
Yeah.
hopefully everything will be okay.
I know. I have those similar concerns,
Yeah.
but thank you for that question.
Thank you.
Anything else? Any public comments? Hearing none, we will adjourn our meeting and reconvene on the 17th of November. Same place and time. Thank you all.
Thank you.